let's talk about some of the more salient issues for New York State politicos. Two parallel stories going on here of some import, I think. One is, of course, the decision by Senate Majority Leader Joseph Bruno to not seek re-election and to relinquish his leadership post, meaning that the power vacuum is on. One of the three men in the room is out of the room, and Republicans will have to pick a successor as majority leader for the rest of this year. I believe it will be Long Island State Senator Dean Skelos. Probably will be the one chosen. That's what all the pundits and insiders are suggesting, although there's a Senator Libous from the Binghamton area who also is considered a contender in all of this. But whether that means anything in the long run, I don't know, because lots of speculation as to whether Mr. Bruno's departure helps Democrats hoping to take over the Assembly. But one concurrent story with that is one would think the Democratic Party would stand in solidarity in wanting to win all three parts of state government, the Assembly, Senate, and governorship, but at least one interpretation would have you believe that Governor David Paterson doesn't want that. Remember, a year ago when Governor Spitzer was in, he was hell-bent on electing Democrats to the Senate and taking over and installing Malcolm Smith as Senate Majority Leader. Smiling Malcolm, they call him, in the corridors of power in Albany. Basically, that's what led to that big special election last winter, in which Darrel Aubertine and Will Barkley spent a boatload of money, and Aubertine ultimately won the race. Now, why would you go to all that trouble to win that race, to grab that seat, in hopes of grabbing a couple more this fall and taking control? Why would you do all of that, and then the governor suddenly ostensibly offer, Senator Aubertine a job with the New York Power Authority, one of those sort of reward-type jobs for years served? Now, you know, I always thought like a Jim Wright or something would have gotten one of those little plums or something, but the Pataki administration never dished that out. But why would Governor Paterson do this? Well, now he's denying that it happened. Some people say the governor's lying. Some people say he's not. Some people say it's a misunderstanding. But it's embarrassing for someone that the sitting Democratic governor would try to undermine his own party's chances in the Senate by throwing this District 48 seat to the Republicans, because if Aubertine isn't on the ticket, believe me, Dave Renzi wins in a cakewalk. I mean, what are the Democrats going to do, run Ted Ford or something? I mean, it just isn't. That's it. Once their marquee player, Aubertine, is gone off the ticket, I mean, this seat folds back to the Republicans very easily. So, and it might anyway, but boy, I'll tell you, why would the governor do that? And maybe the governor got caught cutting a deal with Joe Bruno, and then that fell apart or something, because I think the Senate would have to confirm any such nomination, wouldn't they, if it's a high-ranking deal? And Aubertine says something that was offered, and we don't know exactly what was offered, and boy, well, I guess it was the chairmanship of NYPA, which pays like $250,000. Why wouldn't you take it? Well, you might not take it because you might not feel the offer is secure enough. You might think that something could go wrong, and then you'd be embarrassed, and it would ruin your Senate races. Maybe, the legislature would balk at it or something. Who knows what could happen? So Aubertine was probably wise to stay away from it. I mean, he just has ascended to the Senate, do a couple terms there, then he could cash out if someone was offering. But what was the reason for making that offer? Now, the flip side on it is, what if the governor's right? What if there was no offer? Well, was it a misunderstanding? Was it a misinterpretation of the smoke signals from some staffer? Or was it something just made up? I can't see any rationale for Aubertine just making something up. So anyway, as we said here, I tried to get the senator on the show, and was kind of rebuffed by his key people last night. So we weren't able to get a definitive explanation, but it's. And the response I got was, well, it's no big story. Well, it is a big story. Because if the governor is trying to throw the election to the Republicans because of some quiet deal he had with the GOP or some preference for split government, well, you can make an honest, intellectual case for having split government, checks and balances, upstate, downstate, all of that. That's a totally plausible case you can make. But would a Democratic governor normally be making that case? I mean, would a Democratic president or something want the U.S. Senate to flip to the Republican? No, it would never be caught with his fingerprints on something like that. So something weird's going on. We need some veteran political analysts. We need Liz Benjamin to dig into this as best she can and find out what the heck's going on down there. Because I'm a simple soul up here. I'm from the North Country. You know, we're not the sophisticated Long Island pals or anything like that. We don't know anybody up here who retires with a $300,000 pension, then takes another $300,000 job with the state. We just aren't that sophisticated up here. I just can't figure out what's going on with this whole deal, if anything, but there must be something to it. Why it wouldn't be in the paper? I mean, why? I mean, how did it make it into the news if it was just sort of a quiet, hypothetical suggestion and not an outright job offer? See, there's some inconsistencies that we need answers to, and we'll just have to see if we get them. Let's see if Liz Benjamin's writing anything on it today. We'll check her blog. Liz, of course, the definitive font of information.